Good morning, everybody. This is Grant Sparks with the Grant Sparks Show, and this is episode 333. Now, if you saw some angelic numbers in there, that's what we're talking about today, because we are going to be talking about what your freedom number is, what I learned about your freedom while automating chatbots. Good morning. How you doing? What we learned about your financial freedom as it comes to when I was doing chatbots and when your lucky day begins, and a little tidbit called the An-ARTIST Cookbook. If any of you remember from the 90s, there was a book called the An-ARTIST Cookbook, and we've got a little bit of special today on how to be an artist during times that might feel a little wild. So we're going to be talking about that and more, your financial freedom number, what I learned about your financial freedom when I was programming chatbots and automations yesterday, and when is the right time to begin focusing on your creativity. Let's talk about this and more in episode 333 of the Grant Sparks Show. So yesterday I was absolutely clicking around and I was looking at chatbots. I was messing with ChatGPT's operator. And ChatGPT's operator is a phenomenal little tool that at a certain tier with ChatGPT, you can program ChatGPT's operator to actually work for you. In fact, right over here, I set up a console that's working morning, noon, and night for me on several tasks. And I'm programming it. Good morning, Don with I Am Lakeland. How are you doing? Hope you're doing fantastic this morning today, sir. So I was, Fish Uber. Good morning, Fish Uber. Jumping right in. Fish Uber, I DM'd you, and I don't know if I saw a response on us coordinating. If that's on me, I apologize. Otherwise, let's still get on a call. I want to absolutely chat. So as I was messing with ChatGPT operator, I was noticing that this thing does nearly everything. I noticed that ChatGPT operator could go into my LinkedIn and like posts for me. It could jump over to my Zapier and create automations for me. It could take my chats from ChatGPT and turn them into ebooks by pushing them into Canva. Long story short, there's been a major problem with AI, and that AI has been phenomenal, but AI has had one small hiccup. It can generate content, but it can't actually work for you. And ChatGPT has begun fixing this with ChatGPT's operator. We have seen that there's been a lot of AI out there called AI agents, and these are specific, very niche AI things that can do work for you. Actual work, so excuse me. So I was been absolutely blown away by how ChatGPT operator creates freedom. But here's something I realized while using ChatGPT operator. ChatGPT operator actually requires creativity instead of pragmatism. I kept getting stuck on what's this automation? What do I want this thing to do? It can do nearly anything. This ChatGPT operator can do nearly anything, but I kept getting stumped. And it was because I wasn't in a creative state. I was in a pragmatic capitalist. How do I make this make money? How do I make this thing sell? And I wasn't doing jazz. I was doing Bach. Now, Bach is very complicated. Classical music, very complicated, but I wasn't doing nearly enough creative thinking as it came to this ChatGPT operator. So the thought I had while I was setting up several AI agents and automations for our business to give us a huge amount of leverage, and the automations we have right now are already giving us a huge amount of leverage, meaning freeing us up to do other work that counts, like sales and different things like that. So as I was spending time with that, I was realizing that for the next level of success, it's going to require a certain level of creativity. Let's take a pause on that real quick. Fish Uber says, been about a week. I started my company, Scattering Seeds Marketing LLC. Thanks for your encouragement. I even have a few clients in the pipeline. Dude, you are absolutely doing this thing. Please, let's continue to talk. I'd love to still get together if we have time, hear about the business, hype you up, and see how you can get as much support as possible. Fish Uber, and I'm posting this on Twitch right now or YouTube Live, wherever you're watching this. Fish Uber, after some of our conversations, has gone ahead and started something that is phenomenal. And I see some people coming online over here on Instagram. So let's put a pause on this real quick. In summary, I was messing with ChatGPT operator, and I realized it's taking a next level of creativity. It's requiring a next level of creativity, not just pragmatism. When I say it does this, because the system that we have built in our businesses are very human focused. This status to this status, and this person has to quality check. And I realized that systems thinking from standard capitalist kind of optimization thinking is not nearly as creative enough. It's going to take a paradigm shift to actually think about automations as it comes to ChatGPT or AI agents, because it's far more efficient. It will do literally what you tell it to, but it's also got its own form of creativity. I'll talk about that in a second, but it's requiring a paradigm shift that's requiring quite a bit more creativity. This got me thinking about freedom. I'm going to be able to create freedom soon, but freedom creates a certain amount of creativity. Let's put a pin in that real quick. Real quick, for legacy's sake, today is Thursday, February 20th, and I haven't done this in a while, but I'm just going to put this in this video for legacy's sake. If you care nothing for this, I get it. Bear with me, but I'm going to put this out here because there's a lot of stuff going on around us, and there's a lot of insecurity, and I started this show, I think 4 years ago. And I'm going to tell you what episode we're on. I mentioned it when we first opened, but it's significant to me for a variety of reasons. But I started this show in the middle of COVID. People were hopeless. People were frustrated. They had never seen something like the pandemic. They had never been work at home, stay at home orders. We had an insecurity about our future. And there's a lot of parallels going on today. And a lot of people, no matter your politics, even if you are for everything going on politically right now, there's still a lot of insecurity about our futures. If you're into AI, as I am, and automations, as I am, it's still creating a significant amount of insecurity about being able to predict what's next. What comes next of all these changes? What's the next change that they're going to do? Am I going to be the victim of that or not? Doesn't matter. So I know and recognize that today's episode number, which I'll review in a second, and this idea around creativity correlate to why I started this show in the first place. So this next section is just for me. Bear with me. For legacy's sake, in the TradFi market, how do I know that people are insecure? Because the markets aren't full of greed, meaning they're buying a lot, and they're not selling, meaning they're not totally afraid. It's considered a neutral market right now. And what that means is that people aren't sure which way it's going to go. Doesn't matter if you're for what's going on out there societally or not. There's an insecurity about what's coming next. For example, the Dow is at 44,000. The last time I reported it was at 42. Hasn't moved a lot. The S&P 500 is at 6,100. Last time I reported it was at 5,700. The NASDAQ's at 22,200. The last time I reported it was at 17,900. And Bitcoin is just as flat, relatively speaking. Bitcoin's at 97,000. Last time I reported it was at 101,000. Ethereum's at 2,700. The last time I reported it was at 3,800, which is down a little bit, but it's been down for months and maybe a year now. XRP Ripple's at $2.70. Last time I reported it was $2.30. ADA Cardano's at 79 cents. Last time 34 cents. And Solana $174, $239. I report on this, and I reported on these things back in the day around COVID because they were trying to mess with your emotions. They were trying to cause you to be reactive. They were trying to cause you to debate with people to the left and right of you while they were controlling the markets, controlling what was going on with COVID. And that was kind of scary for a lot of people. I get that. So I reported on the markets back then because I wanted to desensitize us to the markets in the headlines. I started this show in the middle of COVID because I saw so many people getting their emotions sucked into the storyline, stuck into the headlines, and losing sight of your goals, losing sight of your agency, losing sight of your identity, losing sight of your creativity. And this bothered me to no end. So that's why I started the Grand Spark Show so many episodes ago. And today's episode is episode number 333. Now, I'm laughing because Nicole might be watching from her car or from her house, and she makes fun of me when I see numbers and see angelic numbers because they're ridiculous, right? I don't actually put too much weight in angelic numbers except as reminders, kind of like a tattoo. You get tattoos not because they're magical per se, but because they remind your conscious mind and your subconscious mind on what to focus on. Fishuber jumps on from Twitch and says, ChatGPT can be useful in many facets of many people's lives. I've used it as a friend, a mentor, a writing assistant, a search engine, a Bible study tool. I find it very easy to use for most tasks I need help with, including setting up my company. Exactly. I will stand by AI for the rest of my life. I believe in AI. It has been groundbreaking. It's been life-changing. Don in Instagram says, congratulations, Grant. Fantastic job. I'm so happy for you. Perhaps I'll be there one day as well. You absolutely will be, Don, because you're a persistent guy. Nicole says, I'm here. Nicole pops in. I'm watching. Don, you'll absolutely be there. This is episode. Don says he's at episode 108. I'm at episode 333. Congratulations, Don. 100 episodes put you in the top 1% of people doing a show. Most people quit after 8 episodes. Hear that. Most podcasters quit after 8 episodes. And if you pass that 8 mark, you're doing well. If you hit the 100 mark, like Dawn has from I Am Lakeland, you're doing great. And Fishuber over here says ChatGPT has helped in so many areas of life. And I could not agree more. We use this multiple times each day. I chat to it. If you haven't used the dialogue feature, you can just talk with it and it will save your conversations. And now with ChatGPT Operator, you can give legs to that material and put it to work. So I'm happy with this. And as I was going through my work with ChatGPT yesterday, and I was thinking about freedom, I thought 2 separate thoughts. The main thought was, man, this is doing a lot. B, man, I need a lot more creativity. I need to be in a creative state. And then, man, could create a lot of freedom for a lot of people. And I sat back in this very chair and I started thinking, man, people aren't hopeful right now. They're not creative. I'm struggling with being creative right now. I'm struggling with coming up and conjuring up that next automation. I need to put myself into a creative state. I realized that I had to think about the work differently. I realized that I had to think about automations from a different way, and it's going to make me a better business owner. And I'm going to talk, just like Fishuber was talking about, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT and figure out better and better ways to create automations with things like Operator, things like Zapier's chat agents. I'm going to create more freedom for myself. Good morning, Hope, with Roman Ramble. I hope you're doing fantastic this morning. I realized that the next level of business is going to require art, creativity, as opposed to the grind, and that it's going to require me to switch gears from just thinking about money. Good morning, she says on Instagram. Good morning, Ronan Ramble. I hope you're doing fantastic. It's going to require all of us in our businesses to switch from just thinking about money to thinking about creativity, from just thinking about the grind to start thinking about leverage. I should not hop off of this and just dial 100 people. I should figure out how to get my AI agents to reach out to 100 people in a tasteful way that doesn't shut them down. We all had the AI chatbots at LinkedIn. It's horrible. But how do we do this in a way that at least is an integrated, a cyborg way, a way that we're fusing with this technology in a positive, more abundant way? I need to be thinking about that instead of how to dial another 100 people for my business. From sales and processes to actually dialoguing, as Fishuber was talking about, we can actually have a creative conversation, a fun conversation with ChatGPT, whether it's through the audio or through chat. If you have not been able to use the audio yet, I suggest that it gives it a voice and it's a very natural conversation flow, and you can move the needle forward on what you're trying to achieve. So this is a challenge that I faced this morning, and then I realized something that made this worse. This sounds optimistic. Well, it is a little for me, but most other people encountering this problem are like, oh my God, I got to switch gears. Like in Roman Ramble's case, she makes wonderful soaps and healthcare products and beauty products that are phenomenal, with phenomenal ingredients. And it's like, now we're just got to figure out how to sell more and sell more and sell more. It's like, can't we just go back to the craft of coming up with these soaps and these ingredients? And yeah, don't we want to do the fun part again? Remember, we came up with robots and AI and agents, not so that we were doing their laundry, so that they were doing ours. Not so that they were giving us tasks to do that we had to go deploy on, so that they were helping us ideate the right path. And then we could delegate to AI agents to do that work. Remember that vision of the future. But I saw this challenge because I realized so many of my clients and friends are going to be challenged with switching from thinking about productivity and into leverage, into creativity. So then I realized creativity is being challenged today for a lot of people. Creativity takes hope. It takes optimism. It takes stability. And yes, a little bit of boredom. We were fortunate enough, Marissa, Nicole, and I were able to spend some time last weekend in St. Pete. And I realized unplugging is not only fun, and I haven't unplugged like that in a long time. Nicole, Marissa, they haven't seen me unplug and just relax like that in a long time. And that was necessary because it created breakthroughs. That's the vision for technology. Technology is supposed to cause us to have a little bit extra time. Yes, we're going to catch up with some past due tasks once we delegate it a little bit, but to actually be able to unplug with a free conscience and be creative and be bored again. That's what happened last weekend. And as I was thinking about a lot of my business owners, the minute they have leverage, they're just going to pick up the next task. They're just going to pick up the next thing to do. And my heart went out, and this was like compounding the problem, because I realized creativity takes hope. Creativity takes optimism. Creativity takes stability, societal stability. Yes, a little bit of boredom. That's difficult for a lot of people to do today. Doesn't matter what your politics are. It's tough to let yourself relax because there's so much change happening so quickly. Roman Ramble says it's completely necessary. Doing that this weekend. Hope, tell us. And I love the fact that your name is Hope, because we're talking a little bit about hope today. Hope, tell us what you're going to do to unwind this weekend, if you don't mind sharing in the comments. I appreciate it. But it's difficult for most people to actually find their creativity again. It's difficult because there's a ton of uncertainty. Most people are hoping things just hold together long enough. They're hoping that the political environment, doesn't matter where you stand politically, they're hoping that it doesn't unravel and that it actually creates the good that's being promised. Some people are hoping that they're on the right side of history. Other people are wondering what they should do. Many people have lost their jobs. A lot of my people that worked in government jobs, a lot of my family, they no longer have jobs this morning. There's a lot of uncertainty. Fishuber says, what I'm learning in marketing is that a lot of businesses are having to shift from money-making strategies, money-making first strategies, to adopting a strategy that revolves around consumer sentiment and the consumer values. In order to keep being profitable, consumers are demanding more of businesses, so companies do need that creativity to drive value for consumers. And Fishuber is completely correct. This is how we find people are choosing to align with a company if they can feel like their values align with that company. Roman Ramble says going on a motorcycle ride with Ross, letting him take control and plan everything. That's that divine feminine hope that's just releasing and letting this thing lead you and have a great time. I feel that. And Fishuber, I couldn't agree more. Businesses, consumers want to know, like, and trust. We forget this phrase for marketing: know, like, and trust. These companies want to know, like, and trust. So brand logos are doing very little for public sentiment unless they're taking extreme stances, like in society today. Brands and logos are doing very little to create know, like, and trust in their consumers. It's a face. It's someone that they can trust and follow and get involved with. So as I thought about societal unrest today, again, doesn't matter where you fall, just the unrest and the uncertainty is enough to stifle creativity. And as I saw this, I started asking myself, when's enough going to be enough? Again, let's say you are a raging capitalist and you love what's going on in America and the world. Let's say that's you. And let's say that you are very hopeful. And in fact, I was hollered at by a good friend of mine, Augie, at the gym yesterday. And he said, you better get on the train or get mowed over, bro. He's very optimistic about what's going on societally. So my question is the same to him as it would be that people that look at society today and think, oh my God, what's happening? Doesn't matter. I have the same question, and that is this. What's your freedom number? What's the number when you will unplug and move towards creativity? Live in creativity. Let your intuition guide you. Whether it's a number, let's say $1 million is a big number for a lot of people. $1 million, $10 million. And I'll unplug and spend time with my kids, my grandkids. I'll take that trip around the world. Okay? That's a creative outlet. Is that your number? And I'm talking to the 3 people there, the 2 people here, the 4 people here, the 2 people here, the 5 people here, the 3 people here. As the numbers go up and down, if you catch this window, please answer me. This is a real question I am asking my viewers. What is your freedom number and why? I'm asking this because when I had a vision for a number, good morning, Sonata Realtor. I'm asking everybody. Don says his freedom number is $0. I love it, and why? Roman Ramble or Hope from Roman Ramble says 3 million is her number. But I feel like I try to balance some of that now. I love that for you. I love that, Roman Ramble. $3 million, transparently. When I was young, my number was $10,000 a month because I am not a top line number person. I'm a cash flow person. I got that from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. That's my thing. And so when I was in my young 20s, I thought, and young 20s, this would have been a lot. I would have thought that my freedom number, the time that I would have spent in creativity, the time I would have committed myself to my creative ventures, I would have thought it would have been about $10,000 a month. But being that I'm still in my working years, I realized that that's not that much. I hit that number, blew through that number, blew through $10,000 a month. And when we throw these numbers out, it's just clean and clear numbers, right? We don't really think about the mechanism it takes to get there, the cost of obtaining that number, the responsibilities, even if it's not a monetary cost, the responsibilities, the time cost of maintaining that. So when we blew through $10,000 a month, we realized, well, what I didn't articulate is that's $10,000 a month to me. It was coming through my businesses. And I realized, dang, like there's all these costs. Now, I was a young 20-something. I didn't know much. And so my number kept creeping with this mechanism. I set a number. I hit that number, and then I realized all the mechanisms it takes to get there. And then I go, man, what happened when I could have lived on $10,000 a month? What happened to those days? And it's not just inflation. It is a lot of societal costs, like hands down. But it's not only that. I've had to buy better shirts. I've had to get better equipment. I've had to increase my cost of living. And so then you realize the beast, the machine itself takes money. So whether it's Hope's Roman Rambles, $3 million, net asset value or cash pile, whether it's I Am Lakeland Don's $0, but Don, I think you retired and I think you have some form of retirement, but he says it doesn't take money. And maybe that's the revelation. I think Jim Carrey said, I wish everyone could become a millionaire so they realize it doesn't answer anything for them. And I just pray for the opportunity to prove that true, right? Fishuber says, my goal is $1,000 a week currently. Fishuber is a professional living a professional life. That's fantastic. $1,000 a week, that's $4,000 a month or $52,000 a year. That's fantastic. And I think that's Canadian dollars, or I don't remember if you were in Canada or the US. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. But we all go through this, that when we obtain that number, there's some that's shaved off the top, whether it's taxes or infrastructure, and then we move that number up. And the thing I do in my personal USA, Fishuber's in the US. Okay, so $52,000 a year in the US, that could give you some serious options on what's next. Maybe you won't quit your job. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll start investing in real estate or start investing in some form of assets. Got it. But as we move this number up, we start to realize our thinking thinks less and less creative and more on more and more. We think more and more on more and more. We become the more monster. Capitalism by default, and I have no problem with capitalism. I believe in pure free market capitalism. Anarcho-capitalism is my background. Von Mises Institute, I believe in a lot of the anarchy of anarchic capitalism. I believe in capitalism. But if we're not careful, it becomes the more monster. Well, 10,000, but a little bit more. 3 million for Hope, but a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more for my kids. 1,000 a week for Fishuber, but a little bit more because I want more. The question I am asking you this morning, what's your number, is not about the money. It's about this next follow-up question. What will you do creatively, intuitively? Tapping into your intuition, tapping into your inner heart, taking a pause to listen to your inner spirit, your conscience, your values. What will you do when you hit that number? So that's my follow-up question. For those who posted your number, Hope, you posted 3 million. Don, you posted 0. Fishuber, you posted 1,000. My number today is 15,000 net on net. I used to say 10,000. And it has to be way higher than that for me to see net on net, right? To me to pay my employees, pay my companies, make sure the taxes are taken care of, making sure the future is taken care of, making sure my investments, and then liquid net on net coming to me is $15,000 a month, which is, I don't even know what, let's just call it 150 a year, call it about 200 a year. 200 a year net on net, liquid to me on passive recurring revenue. That's my current goal. But what will I do with that bandwidth? Because I project the way I structured that goal, I'm very clear. It's passive, it's net on net, everyone is paid, the future investments have been accounted for, future taxes have been accounted for. That's liquid net on net to me after taxes. And so you're talking about, let's just give or take 200, and that 200, what would I do with that bandwidth? That means I can kick back, that means I can take vacation. That means I'm not working for it. It's passive. So I have employees that might be reporting to me. So I assume all the architecture, what will I do creatively? Fishuber jumps in and says this. In the South, 52,000 isn't a bad start. I'd eventually like to move to around 150, 200 a year, but I really don't care how much the company makes. I just want to do what I set out in my vision statement I posted on my website. I need to review this, Fishuber. I will check this out. I want to help illuminate Christian businesses and churches across the globe through diligent marketing. Love it. You know, I started the Spark Sites company on the exact same premise. When we moved back from the missionary field in the Dominican Republic, Fish Uber, you've probably heard me tell the story. We moved back, we were doing websites for ministries because we were appalled at how a faith, any faith, that claims to know the creator of the known universe have such trashy marketing and websites. So I really love your premise on helping illuminate them towards better marketing. I love that. So I'm looking at this massive problem. What's your freedom number? Do we know what your creativity would do at that number? Do we know? Roman Ramble says 3 million is my retired from Publix number. I'll put my whole attention on growing Roman Ramble because creating feels good to my soul. Dang, I should probably end the show on that, but I won't. But if you have a second, jump over to the comments on Instagram and give Roman Ramble a follow and share because I believe in her spirit here. The same with Fish Uber. Fish Uber, drop your email or drop your website address in the comments so I can post it here and shout it out on Instagram because I believe in that. It's one thing to know our number. Have a fantastic day, Don. Thanks for stopping by. It's one thing to know our number. It's another thing to know our why. If you remember a scene from Fight Club, Tyler Durden asked the two men in the back seat, what do you want to do before you die? And one of them shouted, paint a painting. And the other one shouted, build a home with my hands. Fish Uber dropped a link. It is Scattered Seasons, scatteringseedsllc.com. I will put this in the comments and all the socials later as well. Scattering Seeds LLC. And I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, llc.com. Boom. I shared it to all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. It's gone to all those places. Fish Uber, thank you so much. Roman Ramble, romeandramble.shop on Instagram. Again, that's Rome and Ramble. .shop. Oop, not .com. .shop. Rome and Ramble shop. I posted that as well. Fish Uber says, I kept some dummy text on the website, so don't judge it too hard. Updates coming soon. Of course, don't worry about that, Fish Uber. We'll share it again and again. So here's my point. As I was thinking about a lot of these dilemmas, and I believe that the people in my orbit, if you're my friend, if you live in Lakeland, if we hang out, whether it's Influencer Academy or the goal-setting accountability call we have every Monday or the Thursday check-in, did you do your goals? Like whether it's any one of those calls, you know that you cannot be my friend and not know your why. I won't let you be my friend and not know why we're doing what we're doing, because here's why. I cannot tell you how many business partners I've had in the past 20 years. My first business was stolen from me by my fellow youth pastor at the time and roommate. And they stole, we were making about $10,000 a month on a website selling trading, stock trading plays, the actual trades. We were selling those for $100 a month back in 2001, our first website company. And the company kept going down and my partner stole it shamelessly. They were a Christian. They were my youth pastor, co-youth pastor. They were my housemate and they took the company. And when I asked, why'd you do that? And I said, because I could. And I didn't hear Christianity, I heard capitalism. We hit a crazy number in early 2000s, in no time flat, a crazy number. And lo and behold, because of lack of vision, without vision, the people perish, the scripture says. Without vision, the people perish. Fish Uber gives a shout out. Fish Uber's over on Twitch, Hope. Fish Uber's over on Twitch, but they say, I liked your logo, Roman Ramble. I might see if my wife is interested in your products. Yes, I believe in that form of capitalism. Sharing good quality craft and products with one another because of relationship. That's anarcho-capitalism, in my opinion. It's the true free hand of the market. So I'm thinking all these thoughts, and I open up today's show, and I saw this. And now, part of the reason I'm asking this is we've hit a lot of numbers for me, and I'm seeing what's going on societally, and I am not on board with a lot of what's going on, but regardless of that, it makes me, and Fish Uber, Hope over on Instagram shouts out and says, thank you so much for looking at my products. So yay, man. So I'm asking myself, why did I get involved in capitalism when I moved back from the Dominican Republic? I had a similar vision as Fish Uber, and we got involved in the More Monster. We built to 50 websites a month at $50 each, and we were going to move back to the Dominican Republic because our money could go much further there. But we kept growing, and now we've got about 250 websites under management. We're growing every day. We're handling social media management, influencer management, building websites, doing branding and marketing campaigns, and we're killing it. And I'm having a lot of fun, and we're making more money. But there's something that's coming up in me that's my creativity and my intuition. Some would say my spirit. And it's checking me and it's going, hey, bro, this is all good stuff and no shade. But how are you doing? How are you doing? And are we not being convicted to take another direction based on what we're seeing? Are we not being reminded that our calling isn't just for more? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with business. But are you not ignoring a little bit of your calling and creativity? And so I looked at today's 333, episode 333, and I saw this, and not that it's that magical, but there is a reminder. If you look up the angelic number 3, it's divine connection. It's divine correlation. It might represent intuition. It might represent the Trinity. It might represent holism, being whole, being creative. So then I asked ChatGPT, well, what happens if you see 3 3s together? And seeing 3 3s together says it's not only that you have a divine, intuitive, creative connection, but you are in the midst of an opportunity to shift into creativity. In the Bible, 3 represents divine wholeness, perfection, the Trinity. The 3 can indicate that you have an opportunity to use your talents and abilities, and seen together, it's aligning. In numerology, 3 is related to the planet Jupiter, which is good fortune and rewards. And I am here to tell you this, not from magic astrology, but from a reminder that no matter where you fall in what's going on societally, no matter where you fall with what's going on in your heart, whether you're for or against things happening in the world, it does not matter what you see happening. Good morning, Styled by Aliska. I hope you're doing fantastic, Aliska. No matter what you're seeing today, the fact that today of all days, I'm thinking about creativity and I'm thinking about automating, creating more freedom for our team, but also wondering what I'm going to do with my financial freedom. As I'm thinking about all of that, I open up, in today's episode is episode 333. Please look it up yourself. And it is a healthy reminder from the divine, from the universe, that it is time for you to look at what's going on outside of you and leverage that as an opportunity to leap into your creativity. For me, it's more art, more travel, more speaking my own creative voice, being my authentic self, putting it boldly out there what I believe. So here's a few things I want to leave with you as I think about my form of passive resistance, peaceful resistance. And by that, I don't mean what's going on politically. I mean something further. I believe what's going on is, forget the politics for a minute, forget for or against capitalism, forget for or against what's going on anywhere for a second, and ask ourselves, is this the life you were meant to live? Are you living the life you were meant to live? I think that the reminder of 333 is the reminder to look at the events around us and ask ourselves, am I living who I truly want to be in its fullness, in its joy, in its happiness, in its fulfillment? Am I living fully of what I want to be? And no, I have responsibilities, so I have that job, but can you let your hair down? Do you know how even to tap your creativity? And I believe that we are creative in our heart. We were created in the image of our Creator. Therefore, we are creative first and foremost. If you need your hair to be blue, go be blue. If you need to wear that hat backwards in the middle of work, then do it. If you need to wear shorts because you live in Florida, which I do, I'm going to wear those darn shorts. Well, what about pants? It's a business meeting. Dude, I don't care. What's our creativity? Because this is one life we have. And not only is that good for social media, if you're an influencer creator, one of our creator clients, you have to stand out. So why not stand out with your creative self? Quit worrying about the money. Start worrying about the clear articulation of your creativity. And so I call this the An-ARTIST Cookbook, because in the 90s, when there's a lot of public unrest, a lot of the race riots in the 90s, and then later, we had a lot of the stuff in the early 2000s, 9/11, the Patriot Act, there was a lot of unrest. Then followed up after that, we had the Occupy Wall Street movement. A lot of societal unrest I've seen, and nearly every time there's a resurgence of the An-ARTIST Cookbook on Amazon. I recommend you look it up. It's wild. It's wild. But I'm talking about that. I'm talking about art as resistance to norms. I'm talking about art as resistance to what the headlines want you to think and feel. I'm talking about art to the resistance of your stodgier capitalist self who thinks it's all about productivity and money. And I call this the An-ARTIST Cookbook. A few quick tips and then I'll let you go about your day. Number one, I want you to begin trusting your intuition and your talents. Nurture your intuition. Nurture your conscience. If you see something that is just not right and you think I shouldn't speak up, it might start a fight and there might be friction. Speak up. If I see something creative that I like, speak up. If you see Roman Rambles soaps because you love it, tell her you love it. If you see someone that could use some help with their marketing, speak up. Hey, I noticed that you have some marketing. It's great. Were you needing any help with that? Because I see some ways you could be more effective. Nurture your conscience and your intuition. If you get in your car and say, I'm going to work today, and your intuition's telling you to turn right instead of the normal turn left, then turn right, figure it out. Create new neural pathways and cultivate your intuition. Brush with your left hand instead of your right, or vice versa. Change the script and you will change your life. So trust your talents by nurturing your intuition. That's part of the An-ARTIST Cookbook. Number two, use art as protest. Whatever you want to protest. Maybe you want to protest the norm of the way you've been doing things to yourself. Use your art to create a symbol. I use tattoos sometimes. I use my painting to just express myself to myself. Very few people have actually gone through my little paintings and asked what's going on? These are for me. I'm protesting my own normal neural pathways. Do the same with yours. Don't just try to recreate what you see. Put your imprint on it. Put your fingerprints on it. Use your art as protest. And if you do see things going on in society that you don't like, especially use art for that. In Roman Ramble, maybe she's building a business to be kinder. That's its own form of protest, and that's art. Use your art. Maybe it's Aliska, who does Styled by Aliska. She has amazing dresses and outfits and clothing and attire. Use that to protest norms. Do it. Number three, maintain your integrity at every turn. If you see something, this is how you nurture intuition. If you see something that glitches with you and you do not stand up for that thing or you do not resist that thing, you are decreasing your integrity. How do you maintain and cultivate integrity? If your conscience says to take an action or speak up and you do not, you lose integrity with yourself. You don't trust yourself. But if you see something that should be and you don't step up to that thing, or you do step up to that thing, you do speak up, doesn't matter what the outcome is, you begin to rebuild trust with yourself. That's how you maintain integrity. Integration is the integration of belief with behavior. And what is the opposite of integration? Is disintegration. It means every decision you make that conflicts with your conscience, you're disintegrating, you're falling apart at your atomic level, at your conscience level. So you have to step into this thing. Number three, build solidarity. Get with other creatives. Fish Uber, join other business owners, connect with them, go to networking groups in the evening or on the weekends, or join a Reddit group of entrepreneurs or whatever it is you're doing. Build solidarity. If you're an artist and you do styling, get with other stylists. If you're an artist and you do watercolor, get with other watercolorists. If you do painting or murals, whatever is your creativity, join other people that have an art. In fact, when you meet people, don't ask them, what do they do for a living? Ask them, what do they do for art? Make this an opener. Go to a business networking event and don't ask them about their business. Ask them about their art. Hey, what do you consider your art? That's an act of rebellion because people are so used to going to these networking meetings and asking about, what do you do? No. Tell me about your art. I'll figure out your business. You'll pitch me on your business before the day is over. That's fine. Tell me about your art. That's what I want to hear about. Number six, preserve culture. Use art and creativity to preserve something good from the past. Something that resonates. For me, this tattoo represents something good, and artistically, I wanted to put it on me because I wanted to preserve something that I valued and remind myself of that all the time. If it's an outfit you wear, put an out like Aliska, put an outfit together that pays homage to your grandmother, but it's stylish today. If you're a designer, create a poster that you just love. Preserve something in the culture, preserve it. Hold on to it. There are so many good things in your cultures. in your subcultures, in your niches, that should be preserved. Speed dating and business networking meetings is still to this day the best thing. In a business networking environment, you give everyone a minute to make their pitch and you speed date. There's something weird in kitchen 90s and 80s about that. Preserve something with your art, meaning make it better, make it whole, protect it. We preserve the Mona Lisa and put it behind plexi because today people are trying to throw oil on it or glue it or mess up. So many of these activists are destroying art. I don't consider that artistry. They consider it performance art. I don't consider it artistry because it's destructive in nature. I think art inherently preserves something. I know that Nicole paints watercolors. And when she paints a watercolor of a bird, Nicole preserves that bird somehow. When I paint the ocean, I capture that and I preserve it somehow. Art, by definition, preserves something in our culture. Number 7, public discourse. Your art should create conversation. Whether it's your business, it should create conversation. Whether it's that t-shirt you made, it should create conversation. Whether it's that watercolor like Nicole, whether it's beautiful. Marissa's been creating beautiful reels of her hikes, and I consider them art. They create conversation. What creates conversation? What do you do? Does your painting elicit some sort of conversation, even if it's a dialogue with oneself and like, what is this all about? Does it create conversation? And lastly, this is the last step 8 of the An-ARTIST Cookbook, how to create anarchy and resistance and protest through art. The last one is this: risk and sacrifice. Your art, whether it's the outfit by Aliska, whether it's the business of Roman Ramble, whether it's the podcast by Dawn, whether it's the watercolor by Nicole, whether it's the reel by Marissa, whether it's the mural by John, whether it's the poster that John creates, whether it's the watercolor that Amber, my employee, creates. Whatever your art is, are you taking a risk? Do you check yourself and ask yourself, I don't know if I should put this out here. Oh man, it feels risky. Is there sacrifice? Did you bleed for the thing? I did a stone sculpture in high school and I had cut myself. There's Wildleaf. I did a sculpture in high school and I was whacking with the hammer. I whacked my thumb and it bled onto the stone. And I decided that that was the color I wanted that stone sculpture to be. I left my blood, I didn't wipe it away. Are you bleeding? Taking risk, making a sacrifice for your art? If you're not, it's just art. It's not the An-ARTIST Cookbook. It's not art that's going to make an impact, and that's okay. All forms of art are valid. But if you are trying to resist something in society, resist something in yourself, if you're trying to make a statement, you have got to take the final step with your art and make it risky. Make a sacrifice. Put it out there. And quite often what we sacrificed in risk is our reputation. What will people think? I know that a lot of the artists, creators that I know, a lot of the influencers that I know that are out there taking a risk with their art, they're taking a risk with their reputation, and I recommend you do the same. That today is the An-ARTIST Cookbook. That today is why I think about freedom and knowing your freedom number and knowing what you would do, what creatively you would do, and change over to focusing in your creativity once you hit that number, or maybe even in the process of obtaining that number. In fact, I believe you'll actually hit your freedom number quicker or more reliably if you're leaning into your crazy, if you're leaning into your creativity, if you're following your passions. As Rick Rubin says, follow your interests. Let it just be interesting. Don't worry about the money. The money will follow, but follow your interests. And there's something intuitively pure about that. And I have seen more often than not, the people that have made the most amount of money around me are the people that let their freak flag fly. They didn't care. They were unapologetic and they went for it. They let people hate on them, and they found the people that didn't hate on them. And those people that didn't hate on them respected them for taking those risks. What is your art? What is your creativity? What are you taking a risk with? What are you sacrificing for? What are you doing that's causing public discourse? What are you doing that's preserving something good in the world? I know with Wildleaf, Marissa, her reels, they preserve something. They show people the moss on those hikes. For Nicole, again, these paintings of her birds, they do that. It preserves something. Your art should do good in the world and should make an impact. So knowing your freedom number will know that when you will give yourself permission to take those risks. And let today's show, episode 333, let this very communication, if you see this and have even watched this to the end, let this be your reminder. Let this be your pivot moment. Let this be your omen, your sign that you are required by the universe to tap into your creativity today, to resist. Resist what you think is not good in the world, to preserve and lift up what you think is good in the world, and do more of that. And why are we talking about any of this? For the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a badass day.